This is session 94. Who wants to give a recap?
We slept for a minute. I know that. In a nice room. A nice, a nice ice room.
Yeah, it was
nice and cool, air conditioned.
Yeah, we slept at an inn in Darmersha when the innkeeper was Havas, who was very mistrusting of adventurer types.
Yes.
Insisted on checking the rooms every day to make sure that they were intact. Not sure what kind of adventures that he's had, but he clearly hasn't had Colossus and the Deadpools around.
So he should definitely, he should check it more often.
Yeah. Teal, I think we were all most of the party were trying to adjust to a normal sleep schedule because we were up all night.
Right.
So T-Hole had some he tried to order tea, but they didn't have tea, so he had coffee. And he went downstairs kind of dressed up with seeming or disguised as seeming as Sea-Hole. And he learned that this particular inn that they have a large larder compared to others, whereas other inns have been having trouble getting supplies. He was effectively getting to that the real problem between the giants and the Dragonborn is not war, but the lack of trade, and he wanted to see trade opened up again. And so T-Hole mentioned something around like that was like their mission, or like they were trying to confront the problem. And he seemed particularly keen on that, to get in on the ground floor. Maybe he's got his wealthy investor friends that can kind of get in early. Who knows? But we woke up at dawn and overslept, and Zarius noticed that there was somebody tried slipping like a note under the door, but it was written in blood. There was like text written in blood that said, "They know you're here, Colossus and the Deadpools. You should take care as assassins are being hired." So we decided to change up disguises. Clave became a halfling, Aurelia became a half-elf man, Zarius became a bald, older half-orc, and T-Hole became a brunette woman wearing desert robes. And we headed down. We were looking for, I can't remember why we were looking for cartographers, but we were looking for a cartographer at the marketplace.
To read some of the stuff that's written on Aurelia's map is not entirely clear once you translate it. The plain English just says things like go 10,000 king strides, but how long is a king stride? Nobody knows.
That's fair. So we went to the marketplace and just outside the inn, and we were kind of redirected to go to an adventurer's guild. And we heard a screaming while we were out there. We heard a scream coming from the direction of the hotel, and let's see. What else happened after that? There was a body of a gnome drained of blood in the alley but next to the inn. And Zarius used his scrying to see, because we thought there was a vampire at work, because there were two pins, like, pin-sized holes on the neck. So Zarius used scrying to see if he could find the vampire, and they were laying in their coffin in a basement larder. It appeared to be some sort of young woman.
A northern woman.
A northern woman. So we only went down, so we decided that decided to descend to the basement of the inn we were at, which supposedly had a very well-stocked larder, to see if it was down there. And we didn't find the vampire yet, but we did find an altar to Thurisdan, or an altar with runes that were dedicated or indicated that it was some symbols used by the priestess of Thurisdan, or by the priestesses of Thurisdan. So that's where we ended.
Yep.
So we're in the basement.
Kind of buried the. Yeah, you kind of buried the lead there. You know, when we scried in on that person, they had a resemblance to T-Hole, the vampire.
T-Hole blocked that out of memory. It's called repressing memories, and T-Hole's been pretty good at it.
Didn't we also, we were talking about at least using sending to try and talk to the vampire while they were indisposed.
I think we did that.
No, there was talk
No?
about it,
Okay.
but I don't think anybody cast the spell. There was, I mean, a little bit of a dispute because Zarius was suggesting that he wasn't even sure that a vampire, like, do vampires really sleep, or are they just dead while they're laying there unconscious? A sleeping character, and the rules actually don't say that a sleeping character will notice the sending, so who knows?
Well, I'll have to tweet Jeremy Crawford and ask him.
They just perceive it as part of their dream, or
That actually could be pretty cool. If you send messages to someone while they're sleeping, and it like comes across in like dream language, and then they send
That's the
back
dream
something
spell.
in dream language. Oh,
There's a dream spell for that. Invade people's dreams. I've yet to see it used.
I do feel like vampires probably don't dream when they're asleep, but never really thought about it.
either way, I don't think I can cast sending because I did not prepare that today.
So you are currently in the larder, and you've discovered this holy symbol of Thurisdan has been sort of crudely etched into the wall, but you still sort of recognize it as like almost like a sun disk, although this isn't gold or anything. It's just the color of a brownish rock that they have carved this larder into, with arrows coming out of it in all of the cardinal directions.
Can we tell if this is like maintained? It's like a full, like a proper, like, but small altar, right? Or is it just the symbol?
No, it's clearly set up like an altar. There is a little table in
Okay.
front of it. And it looks as if the symbol's probably been there for a while, but it's not exactly ancient.
Right.
Was the lady that tried to whatever spell she did that I counterspell, was she a priestess of Thurisdan or something different?
She was a cleric
Like-
of Thurisdan, yes.
Okay.
Abara Corsix.
And Havaz had said that he had to fight a mummy in the basement at some point.
Oh, yeah, he blamed that on adventurers.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
So meanwhile,
I-
somewhere outside the, his wife and daughter are probably still arguing with each other.
Right.
Oh, yeah,
Because
I sent them away.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, if he had fought, did he indicate that he actually fought and killed this mummy?
he didn't say that.
I think T-Hole is going to take a look around this, like take a further investigation around this altar to see if there is any like secret switches, or like if there's if it leads to like a deeper passage.
So make me an investigation check. You definitely don't find any switches. The wall seems pretty solid. I mean, it is made of this red brick. But you don't see any sign that the bricks like would have been recently moved.
And Zarius, you already used detect magic, right? To roll out.
I believe you
let's see
did use detect magic, and there's nothing magical down here.
yeah, I have that spell slot used up, so yes.
Well, this seems I can't shake the feeling that this is something, you know, that there's some, this isn't just a dead end here, but I just don't see anything.
Well, it does seem like too great of a coincidence that there's a cult of Thurisdan in the basement of the place where we choose to stay, or at least a signage of it. And then on the same night, a vampire reaches out to us. And killed a
Wonder if
gnome
it's
in
one
the
of you.
street.
Wonder if it's one of your friends, Aurelia.
One of my friends.
Yeah. You know, didn't we run into that vampire? I can't remember his name. T-Hole might remember his name.
I mean, the one in the void.
The one in the void.
He was mostly just called the seer.
We ran into the seer, which is part of the void, and where Thurisdan is kept. Seems to be vampirism is at least an eventual effect of the void. I don't know, maybe this is some sort of creature that's come from the void.
Which creature? The one that you're clearly related to.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't see any family resemblance.
Did Clave get a look at the vampire? Like, cause we used the
Yeah, look at
telescope,
that. He's the
spyglass. Did
I
you
don't
know.
spread share it around for other people to see?
We did an
Like-
arcane screen capture and passed it around.
Yeah, man, I don't know. I suppose maybe I could just, because it's a concentration for 10 minutes. I mean, I suppose I could hand the thing to people so that they could see.
Followed up by arcane doxing.
I'm fine with saying that if you wanted to hand it around, that you could have at the time. I actually don't remember if it's been 10 minutes or not, but at the time, maybe you handed it around.
Right. Yeah.
So if that were the case, then when Clave saw the person, Clave would then transform into what he sees and say, Are you sure, T-hole? You can't see the resemblance?
Like, is it like a first cousin of T-hole, or is it like fifth cousin twice removed, relationship to T-hole, like in terms of like physical?
I mean,
you
yeah,
tell?
it is, not it is probably more like second cousin-ish. It's not 100%, that's for sure. It's not like it's a child parent situation. Plus, Teal has had many faces over the years.
So it just looks like current T-hole.
Right.
It is odd that it looks like my face, but this isn't the face that I've always had, presumably, unless I've always been born with the same facial features.
We should not
Well,
have
I
this
guess
conversation here.
Well,
We should not linger.
agreed. Well, there seems to be nothing here except for some altar in a suspicious altar in a basement. We could potentially try to see if we can get some information on Havas. Surely he is well aware of what this is and must condone it to some extent.
Yeah, I
But
guess
I'm not.
that's something I would like just have another sort of quick look over. Does it seem like it's maintained, this altar?
There are candles on the altar, 2 candles, one on each of the upper corners of the table. They are burned down, but not all the way. It looks, the table is not anything special. It is just a normal small wooden table. But again, it looks like it's probably been relatively recently cleaned. Like, it's not as dusty as some of the shelves are. Like, the best guess would be it must be in use.
Right. That's roughly what I'm trying to determine here. Does this family use this altar?
Yeah, actually make me a perception check. Well, with your passive perception, I would say you probably, you would notice that underneath the desk, like right at the base of the desk on the ground, there do seem to be a couple spots of blood, but just individual spots.
Okay. Can I tell if it's fresh-ish?
Yeah,
How long it's been there?
Right. So the area around it, like I said, it's not as dusty in the area around the altar as the rest of it. So you
Right.
would surmise that, this is probably relatively recent, like within a week or two.
Okay. Yeah. It might be worth. We may need to inquire with authorities as to whether or not this worship is allowed within the city. It is certainly dangerous.
Do we really want to be spending time on something like this? I mean, unless this Havas is connected to the vampire or something greater with what we're trying to deal with at the hatchery, meeting up with the Dragonborn troops, I don't know that it's necessarily something that is a concern of ours.
It is something that could be mentioned to a guard so that they can investigate. It could be done before we leave. as we are leaving.
Okay.
That is fair.
We do not need to follow up.
I don't want to get bogged down in this when we have a vampire looking for us and apparent assassins.
We do not need to spend much time on it. As I said, inform a guard as we pass them while we're leaving.
Okay.
The less followers this being has, the better.
Agreed.
Now let us depart from this cellar before they come back.
I think before we get out of the cellar, T-Hole's gonna kind of take one more look, kind of do a round around the cellar, looking for any other kind of symbols or like scuff marks of shells being moved, or potentially any bottles of wine that look like they could be going bad, or like just be going particularly well, and for like any particular vintage, and see if like he could help them out by taking it off their hands.
So how long are you going to spend searching through their racks of wine?
Probably 5 minutes.
Okay, so make me an investigation check. You really don't see anything all that special. There are maybe 100 bottles of wine here. None of them, as far as you can tell, are a particularly good vintage. There are a couple, several vintages you're just not that familiar with. Almost all of them are from this region. A lot of them you would notice have labels in Draconic, so they probably were from the Warmlands and have just
Gotcha.
been here for a few years.
And T-Hole's, if that's the case, T-Hole's not going to he's not gonna suffer risk for potentially not great wine. So he'll just continue doing a quick round to look for other markings of Thurisden, or potential passages, and then head out.
Right, yeah, you don't see anything else amiss while you're looking. So what are other people doing while T-Hole, Zarius is like, we should get out of here. T-Hole's like, yes, and then goes over and begins to like look at each bottle of wine.
I just leave.
Yeah, there's nothing else Clave is doing, so he just walk out with Zarius.
Is the symbol like in the cut into the wall like they used a chisel or something, or?
They must have used something similar to one, if not an actual chisel.
Okay.
You don't see any tools down here, so it's hard to say what made it. Like I said, it's fairly crude. It's not exactly as if like a professional mason carved it in or a sculptor. But it's pretty deeply carved into the wall. So they must have used something hard. And probably not like a, not like a dagger point. It must have been like something like a chisel.
Do I know if it has any significance other than it's the symbol? Like, do they get any kind of power from it? If they use it
I mean, it is the holy symbol of Thurisden. So Bar Corsix was using that symbol specifically. She had a little portable golden version around her neck that she was using as a focus for her spells.
How loud is Shatter?
Very loud.
Okay. I don't have prestidigitation. I don't have. Yeah, I guess I just leave it be then.
I mean, if you're looking to deface it, it doesn't necessarily look like it would take too much work to physically pry the bricks out of the wall.
Okay, that's exactly what I'd do then.
Okay, do you have a dagger or something that
Yep,
you could
yes,
like
I
use?
actually do have a dagger, yes.
So you have to chip away at the mortar, but the mortar is pretty soft,
Okay.
sandstone-like material. But you eventually are able to pretty easily remove any or all. It's scattered across 3 bricks in a row.
Okay,
But you can remove them all.
okay.
Are you taking all of them or just some of them?
Well, looks like I got 3 bricks.
It's like waiting outside. We need to go.
Yes, I'm coming right away. I had to just do a little more investigating.
You do not.
You're right, there are better larders elsewhere. Probably.
As I said, I mean, given the shortages, this is probably a pretty well-stocked larder.
Better larders as far as
Quality.
selection and quality.
So you make your way upstairs. This question more for Mike, how long are these people gonna be away arguing?
Yeah, I didn't specify, so,
So 8 hours until you stop concentrating or 8 hours?
oh, it is a concentration, isn't it? So I would, yeah, Clay would probably cease concentration on it once we were out and done with our business.
We as in you, or we as in everybody?
Yeah, I would wait for T-Hole to be out of the larder as well.
And Aurelia, who's pulling bricks.
Yeah.
So you've exited, you're back up on the ground floor again.
All right.
Anything suspicious?
I
Other
mean,
than
no,
us?
it's still pretty early. So there's not that many people in the tavern part of the inn yet. The daughter who was behind the bar originally, when you convinced her that you were pest inspectors, which is not something this town has, so.
Vaz
but
is going to be
she-
very confused.
Yeah.
So she is off and away. Again, in the kitchen area, there was like a back stairway, a very narrow stairway, like no wider than about 3 feet, along the back wall that seemed to lead upstairs. And so that probably led to their personal quarters.
We don't need to go there.
I'm just mentioning it because Havaz might be up those stairs, given that this is his downtime.
So, yeah, I don't want to cast seat that send, or what is the, what's that word? The suggestion. I don't want to have to cast that again. So, Clay would return to the form of that I can't think of anything tonight.
Ayana Reef.
Ayana Reef, yeah. And then say, to the rest of the group. So what is it that we are to do now?
Well, quick question, did you change back? You changed back before you left the larder or after you're back upstairs?
Yeah, before leaving the larder, because I also use my shape change down there and stuff, so I would have resumed Aeon's form.
Okay.
But yeah, so we have a vampire that's is stalking us, whether for good or ill, we don't yet know. There are assassins said to be aware of our place here, which seems odd that they would already know and be mobilizing against us. So
Actually, I forgot. Everybody also make me a wisdom check. Wisdom save, I mean.
Nice.
I do have non-detection
Mhm.
in case it.
Okay.
Um, perhaps it is best if we leave Darmersha and begin heading towards the tomb. Is that where we're going next, the tomb, or is it the fake hatchery? Or
I believe it's the Tomb of Carfet, if I recall. And that's where the
I believe the plan was actually to go to the Gate of Sewell.
was
are we
that,
doing
and
that
then-
one first?
Apparently, I don't know what I'm talking about. So
It's gonna,
Gate-
so it is,
Gate
it
of
is gonna,
Sewell.
right, it is still gonna, it's only been about like 4 days, 3 days, but after you left Ilkaja. So they're still way upriver. It is gonna take them another week to make it this far, and then like a day or two to make it to the Tefnut Oasis. So you anywhere you go right now, the Imperial forces are well behind you. And even then, it's not clear that the Giants are going to immediately attack the moment they're in place in the Tefnut Oasis. They're probably going to be in place and then let word leak that the hatchery is there.
Yeah.
So you still
But
have some time before that all happens.
the gates of Sewell is all the way over here, though. So how long is it going to take us to cover that distance from here? The 400
Couple of days.
miles.
Yeah, that's like 2 days.
Oh, is that it?
As in windwalk
the-
form, yes.
Yeah, we
Okay.
cover a lot of ground. So
Well, if we are going to pursue the gates of Sewell and the attempt our fortunes with the
The Southern Seer.
the Southern Seer, then
Sage.
Sage,
Sage.
yes, the Southern Sage, then we are going to need something of value to offer in exchange. While T-Hole may owe the Southern Sage some sort of favor, I do not wish to bargain my life on that.
You mean the Southern Sage owes me a favor?
Either way, I do not want to show up empty-handed without something of value that might actually secure our safety and grant us the information we are seeking.
I mean, we have something of value. We can always dimension door in the Southern Sage's presence. Or not.
You are really wishing to gamble your life here. I am not so enthused to take such risks.
And Clay would know you have to pay before he gives you the answers. So yes, you probably could walk in and then immediately teleport away. But then why even bother going?
I still think that finding Turbo would be a fine offering. But
As much as I despise the woman, even I have my bounds. I couldn't suffer to give her trade her soul for information. You know, maybe it's, and T-Hole kind of looks wistfully away. It's like, maybe it's the night after night of tumultuous lovemaking, or maybe it's that time when she,
Gio,
Well-
Gio, we do not need
That's-
these.
That
Well,
little thing she
regardless,
did with
stop.
her tongue.
regardless,
But do we
We have a
really know? Do we really know that the Southern Sage would actually take her soul? Perhaps it is just a matter of her death.
that's, you know, as much as I would love to see the woman die, you know, by some means of this world, I wish it to stop at that and not endanger her soul. It's
It really would take care of multiple problems.
Or just anger the royal family even further.
They are already angry at us. And they are already trying to kill us. As we can see from the assassins.
I mean,
Indeed.
these assassins could be, I mean, they're probably from the Empire, but plenty of people hate us. I mean,
But who
Yeah, plenty
else
of
would have the resources to hire assassins, track us to the Warmlands, and go through such effort? I can think of nobody with such resources aside from Turbo.
The body that
But-
I once carried was an assassin. And it was not from the Empire.
I have joined a group with so many enemies.
You did not have to.
Slave, we are not enemies. We're on the same side.
No, I'm not saying that I am your enemy. I am saying that you have lots of enemies. They're
Oh.
now transitive property mine.
Well, when you live 1,000 years, you either die a hero or become a T-hole.
God's help me. I will never wish that fate upon myself.
I wouldn't recommend it. It's
Right.
it's
Well,
fun in a self-loathing kind of way.
well, we have hit a dead end for now when it comes to the vampire. And we know that the assassins are out there, so we should be careful. And after we leave the tavern, we should rework to our previous new disguises. But in either case, we should continue to look for a cartographer that would help us with Aurelia's map.
Let us go. We tried to leave once already. Let us
And we're
commit
still at
this
the
time.
door.
Are there any people around that can see us?
Not right now. There's nobody in the tavern.
All right, so I would adjust the disguises where I'm appearing as that halfling, and we have keyhole and
And that's when somebody arrives.
Keyhole.
uh, so
That
it
would
was
be his rogue
keyhole.
form. Keyhole.
Was it keyhole or seahole?
It was
Seahole.
Seahole.
Oh,
Seahole.
seahole.
So yeah, D hole would be next.
Yeah. The real question is it going to be only letters that rhyme with T, or is he just going to go with it?
I think it got-
H-hole.
Yeah, E hole, fee hole.
Right.
He already, I feel like he already passed a hole. Like that was that's come and gone.
That was the original name. That was his very first iteration. The T was silent. It wasn't Tehole, it was A-hole.
And it makes sense. It was AEHOLE, so a hole.
So Aurelia, what was your new identity's name?
I don't know if I picked
Because you
one.
had Elsa, and then we created a new one.
Right.
And Zarius, you were Mirex, but now we got a new one for you too.
Yeah. Zarius is not good with names. He everybody's always so fascinated. They want to give their name. Everyone's like, here's my name. What my name. I come from this family's name. And Zarius is like, but I don't care.
My name is Bing Bong.
I'm Zarius. That's it. That's all you need to know. You need to call me. You need my attention. You say my name. That's it. I don't need your family history. You're not important.
All right. So instead of Mirax, it's going to be Miralax.
Hector the well endowed.
All right. So we're not going to worry about a name for Zarius. And Aurelia, did you have a alter?
I'll use Bell.
Okay.
Just running through all the Disney princesses, are we?
Yeah.
A lot of them. Leia's part of that now, right? Ever since 2012.
So it's the Queen Xenomorph.
Let's not try to ruin my Friday night, please.
All right, so let's find, or now I'm the halfling. All right, so let's find that cartographer.
So you had heard of two places where you might find a cartographer, as it's not that common a skill. One is the Adventurers Guild. The other is somebody in the Royal Palace definitely has an official cartographer. But most people said if you wanted to find one who would, probably be easier to access, it would be in the Adventurers Guild.
And what do we have to do to get to the Adventurers Guild?
I mean, people would have described generally where it is. So there's no trick to getting there. You just have to go find the guy.
Okay. So
Is
does
that the plan?
anybody want to do anything along the way, or are we just gonna head straight there?
I think the sooner we can translate the oddities of the map and the sooner we can get out of here, the sooner the better.
All right, I can get on board with that. Zarius, Aurelia, thoughts?
I need nothing.
Yeah, sooner the better.
Okay.
So you make your way out and begin to cross the city. As you're leaving the inn, you do see the wife and daughter returning. They are still bickering, apparently, over whether or not to allow people into the cellar. But they don't recognize you, and they see you walking out. There's maybe a little concern, but nothing comes of it. Walking across the city, you see that in the early morning, it is pretty busy. It is a lot busier than it was even when you first arrived. And the streets are really jam-packed with people. A lot of the people look pretty malnourished. And then interspersed with them, you can see people who are clearly pretty healthy and obviously wealthier. The wealthy are doing much better with all the shortages than the poor. And the poor seem to have sort of scattered across the city to do a variety of menial jobs, probably in order to earn food rather than even cash. Takes about half an hour for you to find the place, but you do eventually find the Delvers Guild. It's a fairly modest building, given that you were expecting like a guild hall. It is really one story and a 3-story building. The stories above are probably housing. And inside there is essentially just a series of small tables. It looks as if maybe at one point it was a bar and the bar was ripped out. But you do see there's a variety of people in there sort of sitting around, apparently just killing time. Occasionally people will go over, there's a barrel of water in the corner. People will go over with a pitcher and fill up the barrel or fill up their pitcher and walk back to a table. When you walk in, people don't seem to really pay you much mind. They do give a second glance to Zarius, suggesting that there are not that many Dragonborn who enter here, but it's not a major alarm for them. They just take notice of it and then turn back to their own conversations. It doesn't immediately appear as though anybody is in charge.
But I do still look like a Dragonborn. You didn't change that part.
No, you said you wanted to keep being a Dragonborn.
Yeah, okay. I was just making sure. Previously, I was a half orc, apparently. So I don't think Zarius would even like see. Or he would just behave normally. He is no actor.
All right.
But yeah, okay.
So I guess then Clave would kind of shout and say, "Ahoy hoy! We're looking for a cartographer. We were wondering if someone can help here."
One guy sort of leans back in his chair and looks back over his shoulder at you and says, Odin's not here right now, but he'll probably be here at some point today. You might try him at his home, I guess. Most of his maps are here though, so if you're looking to buy a map or have him copy something, this is where he does his business.
Oh, well, we really just need to talk to him. We have some questions about general map reading issues that we really do need some help with. So he's not here. When do you expect that he might return?
He usually comes when people call for him. We could send one of the interns out and let him know that you're waiting here for him.
Oh, well, that would be really helpful.
And
See an intern.
he turns and yells for someone named Starry, and you see from like down a corridor off to the side, this kid runs out. He's in light armor. It's all pretty mismatched. He's got a shitty longsword tied to his belt. It's not actually in a sheath. It's really just sort of wrapped in leather, and then the leather is tied to the belt. So it must be that the sword is just not sharp enough to cut this leather strap that's been wrapped around its blade. But he comes running up.
His shield is a trash can lid.
He does have like a helmet on, and it's got these like ridiculous horns coming out of it that looked like it would be really easy to just grab him by the horns and like toss him around. But he comes running up, stands in front of this guy and like stands like very straight and very tall and immediately salutes. Yes, sir. What can I do for you, sir? These guys need Odeon. Can you run over and let him know that he's got customers? Yes, sir. And he puts his arm down and immediately runs past you and out the door.
Great, thank you. So how long do you think it's gonna take for him to go get the message and for Odeon to return?
Maybe 20 minutes, half an hour. I don't know what Odeon's up to.
You have a waiting room.
This is the waiting room.
Is there like somewhere to sit?
There are empty tables and chairs.
Sweet.
Along the wall, there are like wooden cups and pitchers in case you wanted water.
This guy isn't trying to recruit us. Us very obviously. Well, I guess what do we look like as far as gear goes?
Just desert clothing.
Oh, okay. Then maybe not. All right. I sit.
So you guys are an adventuring guild.
That we are.
So how are things going around here in Darmersha, given everything with the giants and stuff?
Well, the giants are kind of a pain in the ass. A lot of the tombs are in the warm lands, so this was a good jumping off point for investigating things there. Frankly, everything within the wall's been kind of played out at this point. At least everything that anybody has had a map for is played out at this point. So maybe some people will sometimes say they may have a lead on something new, but mostly you've got to get through the walls and the walls are shut down. So that's not so great for us. Most people have just moved on, gotten on a ship and sailed off for better parts. Those of us who are left, we made our scores. So we're living pretty well.
Even with all of this turmoil with the Dragonborn here and the Empire.
They don't really bother us, so we don't really, well, at least I don't really pay them much mind. The Dragonborn, I feel bad for them that their homeland's been taken over. A lot of them are probably going to starve to death here in the city is my guess, and that's not a good thing. But like I said, I kind of made my money already, so I am more or less a retired adventurer at this point. Maybe if the Warmlands opens up again, I'll put together a team and go and try to find some new cache of gold. But it doesn't look like that's going to happen anytime soon, so just enjoying the retirement.
Okay.
What about you? Are you adventurers?
Well, can I do an insight check to see, like if I get the sense that he might respond positively or negatively to us being adventurers?
Sure.
Does my passive insight just give this to me?
Yeah, you would realize that he's probably fine with your being adventurers, and that's your sense of it too. Clave's sense of it as well.
Okay. Well, yes, we are actually adventurers. Not planning to stick around, mind you. We're mostly just passing through. But like I said, we have some questions about a map, which is why we need your friend Odeon.
Passing through. I don't know where you're passing to, but is your map inside the wall? I gotta
Nope.
tell you, there's a lot of, oh, okay. Well, that's good. But though if your map is for an area outside the wall, I don't know how you're gonna get there at the moment. Unless you
Go
have a
over
way,
the wall.
right, fly over the wall. It's about the only way. But you could encounter resistance doing that.
Like what?
like the people who man the wall.
I don't
Well-
think that will be a problem.
Yeah, we have our ways to get in and out. But yeah, so
So are you recruiting then?
not formally, no, we're why is what makes you ask?
Just gonna say, there's not many people who are left who would be available to join your team. The Empire's hired a lot of adventurers, so a lot of the delvers who are at least open to taking such jobs are already off doing something for the Empire.
Hmm. Yeah, well, thankfully, we have our ranks pretty well covered. But seems like it's pretty quiet here in this place, so how do you guys just pass the time in retirement? At least most of you, it seems you at least have an intern, so.
We, play cards, play dice, play dragon chess or chess. Mostly just shooting the shit though, talking about the old days.
Hmm.
You're not planning on going south, are you? South is extremely dangerous.
What would we need to be concerned about if we were going south?
Well, all of the reports I've heard, and I have to admit, I've not been over the wall myself, are that the giants are at least somewhat reasonable. Like maybe they'll shake you down for some money, or you'll have to fight your way through them, but they're just giants. But you go south and suddenly you've got just hordes and hordes of demons who are really just in it for the mayhem. Near as I could tell, they enjoy torture and pain.
Is that's in the Sakara area?
No, I think Sakara, last I heard, Sakara was under the control of the giants. There was some rumor that the Dragonborns had taken it over again, but that the giants reconquered it, I think. I don't know if any of that's true, but that's at least the stories that have gone around.
How-
Further south, like deep south in the river, or really anything south of the Red and the Loam.
Hmm.
What about the Hinjaz south of that?
For the most part, that's so. You have like a map of the region? Because I don't, but as you go further southwest, if you get like past the Hinjaz, as I understand it, that's mostly demons now. That said, everything that's kind of from the foothills of the Hinjaz north is giants, up to the Sea of Glass. And you'll find some giants south of that line and some demons north of that line, but there is some sort of division between them where the armies of demons are mostly further south. As I understand it, like Akidos has been completely overrun by demons. But Sakara definitely in the giant controlled territory.
So do you happen to have any sense of what it is that the giants and the demons are working together, or what the demons are doing down south?
No, not in any great detail. The demons seem to be looking for something. That's the rumor, that they're in search of something. And so they're uncovering fabulous treasures. Now, I have to say, those are exactly the sort of rumors you would expect to pop up here in this room amongst me and my friends. So I don't know how much stock to put in it. The giants, as I understand it, are busily subduing the population of Dragonborn. They've got their little pet Dragonborn nobles who are helping them do that. But the demons are much more focused on basically killing anyone they can find and digging up ancient sites.
What what exactly is it, to your understanding, that the giants are so focused on conquering the Dragonborn?
I'm not
Sounds
sure
like a
what
sounds like a distraction.
yeah, I don't know what the Giants' ultimate goal is. I imagine it's just conquest for conquest's sake. What do any conquerors want? They want the population to shut up and obey. That seems to be what the Giants want. Although you hear all sorts of rumors. There's a rumor that maybe a demon or maybe someone else is actually giving the Giants orders, and that King Shialk himself is a puppet of some greater power. There are rumors that this place, Kajarim, is about to become an imperial province. There were rumors that the Giants and the demons are about to go to war. Then like I said, there are rumors that the Giants are actually being led by a demon who is ordering King Shalk about.
Have you heard about this Sky Castle?
Well, I mean, that's sort of fairy tale stuff. So you hear about it. It essentially just can appear out of nothing, bombard cities from high above, can bury itself in the sand if needed to hide.
It can bury itself in the sand.
That's what they say.
But you haven't seen it here around Darmersha or up north.
No, I mean, it's a giant controlled castle, so it's supposed to be in the giant controlled regions, but it's never been anywhere near Darmersha that I've heard. Sakara, I was told it was he and retaking Sakara from the Dragonborn.
Hmm.
Although I don't know what the details of that are, because Sakara is not exactly the kind of place you could bombard from the sky. But still, flying castle, I'm sure have some use.
What makes a car so less vulnerable to being pelted from the sky?
It's it's Sakara, so it's mostly built into the cliffs.
Oh. Sorry, I'm not familiar with the area as much as my friend here is.
Is there a mountain? Is it built into the mountainside? Is it surrounded by hills?
No, it's wow. I just assumed if you guys were going to go across the wall, you knew more about the warm ones. So the red Nalom cuts through a lot of rock and has created a fairly large gorge along much of its length. Sakara is built into the sides of the gorge along the red Nalom on either side of it. There are, crystal bridges, gemstone bridges that span that river. So I suppose the Giants could take those out from the sky. I don't know how hard they are. I always imagined they were magical and so hard to break, but throwing rocks at the residential parts of the city at the actual place where you'd find large numbers of people just wouldn't work, because you'd only be hitting the tops of the gorge, not any of the actual constructed sites that people are in. But I suppose if it's a flying castle, if they have like normal artillery catapults, they could fly down the length of the gorge and fire catapults at people as they flew. I don't know. Like I said, I kind of think of the flying castle thing as possibly exaggerated.
Interesting.
As a fellow adventurer, I would say that is likely true, going by our intel.
Well, we'll find out eventually. I'm sure. Either way. By the way, I don't think we got your name.
You're right. I didn't give you my name.
Yeah, give
I'm
me a
Bash-
second to pull it up here.
Yes. I am Barash.
Well met, Barash. I'm Giddy Winks.
Oh, it's good to meet you, Kitty Winks. I assume you're not actually a member here.
Nope, can't say that we are. Is that a problem?
No, not really, but typically we generally help out the adventurers who are members here. But these are odd times, so not necessarily any real problem if you're just here to do business with Odeon. Not gonna bother anybody. Still, if you find treasure, you probably get pretty good prices from some of the people who frequent this place.
I'm
That is
sure.
good to know.
That way you have to
So-
get it back over the wall. First.
So since you are new here, and I don't know about your Dragonborn friend, forgive me for being a little bit mercenary, but it is the nature of our profession. I could definitely give you some additional tips if you, wanted to pay for them.
Type of tips.
The sorts of dangers you're going to meet if you fly over the wall. Sorts of danger. I mean, I don't know what part specifically of the desert you're going to, but I could give more detail about the kinds of things you're likely to encounter there.
How much do your services go for?
I think I'd have a pretty loose tongue for 25 gold.
Giddy
Seems like a
Winks
lot.
looks at the purse strings.
I would only need to know what is new, things that have developed in the last 10 or so years.
Well, Zarius, don't be so quick to write other stuff off. You don't know what you don't know. You know?
No.
And there are different types of unknowns. There are unknowns that you don't know, you don't know. And then there are unknowns that you don't know.
See, he gets it.
Unknowns you don't know, you don't know.
Oh,
The unknowns you forgot about.
Right.
But there's always
Unknowns,
those are
the
the
unknowns you
unfortunate
used to
ones.
know.
well, how about this? And T-Hole will like place, he'll reach into his money sack and grab 25 gold and place it on the table in front of them. I'll place this here. And you can tell us your information. And if it's worth the 25 gold, you can have it.
Who makes the decision about what's worth what?
Me.
Well, that doesn't seem very secure for me. Because I then have to give you all the information and I get nothing. How about you give me 12 of that? And you could decide on the other 13.
I'm gonna say Seahole. It sounds pretty fair to me, especially given that he's been pretty friendly up front up till now.
So fair arrangement, and he leaves the 13 on the table and then slides the 12 towards him. And he just stands there with his arms crossed.
And he sweeps that into his belt pouch. So, I mean, if you're going to fly across the wall, the first thing I'd be concerned about is the rocks. Because they watch the wall. Clearly must be serving the giants in some way. I don't know how they control them. But there are a number of rocks who've been seen in the skies over the wall. over the nation in general, we get the sense as though they're just keeping an eye on what's going on here. The Imperials have shot a few down they have a fairly large contingent of siege engines. So you might have to watch out for those. They're very fast. So most conventional ways of flying over the wall would be a little bit at danger because you'd be kind of easy to spot unless you're invisible or something. The giants, I'm sure you've heard, it's pretty much any variety of giant you care to name, except for frost giants. I don't think anyone has seen a frost giant. There is a rumor that a corpse of a frost giant was found, however, suggesting they're out there somewhere, but far too hot for them to be at ground level most of the time. Maybe they're on your flying castle. Who knows? There are rumors of little gray minions that flit around among the giants. Some say tens of thousands of them that have been used as shock troops. I've never seen one of them, and I'm not sure what those would be. There are possibilities. There are Grimlocks and Ogrillions and various little humanoids that maybe the giants have enslaved. Or maybe they're just paying them. The demons are pretty varied, although the worst of them tend to be, the very worst of them, they say, is this demon lord who essentially is a large sort of bat-winged ox-headed figure who wields a fairly large mace. The mace itself is apparently intelligent and can talk, and they have conversations. So I'm told, never seen him. He's described a bit like you would hear about Orcus, although I don't get the sense that he is Orcus or himself undead specifically. He sounds as if he looks to be very much alive, but it is, a large muscular body of a man with an ox head on top. The mace itself isn't described as skull-headed either, the way you would hear with Orcus. It is described as just a black metal mace that glows blue. He's mostly in the south and presumably is in charge of the whatever search they're conducting. Periodically, he has to then go out and slaughter his own troops because they tend to not follow orders because they're demons. But discipline is enforced with a heavy hand. They say there is a portal in the south through which the demons are coming, which is how they manage to keep their numbers up. I don't know if that's necessarily true, but if true, it is supposed to be north of Ka'am in the far, far south, which suggests that they've taken over the gemstone mines there. I don't know what demons would have, if they would have any use for gemstone mines, but I'm sure the giants would. The giants probably would covet that. So that makes me put some credence in the rumors that the giants, in fact, have control of the city proper in the south and are using slave labor to mine the gemstones. And the demons are just, that is the giant stronghold in the south, and the demons are in the outskirts. But presumably, if there is a portal there, the demon lord is probably spending a lot of his time there. I don't get the sense that he's super, super fast, as you don't hear many rumors of him being very far north. Although he has apparently been as far west as Akados, as the siege of Akados was in large part spearheaded by him on the front lines. There are many factions of Dragonborn within the northern part. Within the southern part of Onlaith, I think they're dead. I don't know that there are any communities left standing. Even the wandering tribes sound as if they've been wiped out or chased off. But in the north, you've got a combination of nobles who are just siding with the giants because it's convenient for them to do so. Some of the nobles have been rewarded by the giants and have been given extra authority. Seem to be ruling over their people with a fairly heavy hand. they seem very obedient to the giants. So I don't know that you can rely on aid and comfort from any of the Dragonborn in the Warmlands. There must be some who oppose the giants there, but it seems as if all the ones who are really in opposition to them have fled and are on this side of the wall now, or they've been killed outright, like the people who were defending Sakara. Is there anything specific you want to know?
I myself am not remembering the name of my clan's patron dragon. I was trying to look for the damn like handout for it, but I can't find it.
That's her name.
Okay. I'm gonna copy that and put that in a note here.
It's shorter
Um,
and draconic.
Right. I'm not gonna like say the name out loud, like the whole name or whatever to this guy, but I will just ask him, do you have any news or rumors regarding my people's patron dragon in the area?
Rumors. She's not been seen in a while, is my understanding, not since the start of the war. So the first rumor is that she was dead. The second rumor is that she is somehow enthralled and is working with either the demons or the giants, depending on which version of the story you're hearing. There's also the rumor that she's dead and has been raised and is working with the demons or giants. That said, I've not heard any rumors of her making an appearance since well before the war started.
What do you know? What is there anything more that you know about this ox-headed person and this mace that he speaks to?
Not so sure. There have been all sorts of rumors. Apparently, he was originally further up north and was involved in trying to take over some nation or other up there, but it was, a completely different sort of operation where he was more or less trying to infiltrate. There was some kind of incident where a black gateway was opened. And so the story is that originally this mace, or whatever it is, was actually a weapon of good, and it had to be tortured and corrupted
Do it.
to become this sort of evil weapon that he now wields. But they say it increased this demon lord's power significantly to have corrupted this weapon.
I can't wait to message. Say, I found it.
Should have came all along, Lucharosi.
Right. That motherfucker has my map.
With that said, he seems to have kind of almost like he seems to be a fairly powerful spellcaster, able to kill with a word. The mace itself seems to light up anybody he hits with it with a black light that both drains their health away from them and makes them an especially easy target for him to dismantle with it.
Solosry was the name of the weapon, right?
Yep.
Yes.
that's Glossary.
I'll just look at T-hole. I was like, sounds like Solosry.
Oh, Lushirosi will not like that.
I'll be sure to tell him.
Well, if he wants help getting it back, it seems more pertinent than ever that he make his way this down south anyway.
Do not know how he could make it here in any quick amount of time.
That's particularly concerning. I don't recall Solosry having such powers.
It had similar powers. It has clearly been corrupted.
I, as a player, forgot what Solosry could do.
It had
Well,
like
Yeah, on a hit, it could generate fairy fire on a target. It granted like super dark vision and all kinds of all kinds of fun things that Lushirosi truly missed when it was gone.
All because Mike didn't want to spend an action point. It was
Yep,
too early in the game.
yep, yep. Yeah, yeah. That one still eats at me.
And
Really
that's
does.
why, and that's why I'm gonna message Lushirosi. But tomorrow, I have to do it tomorrow. I don't have the spell prepared. Though Zarius is
That's it.
definitely highly considering attempting. I don't know why he just hasn't thought about it before now, but he's considering attempting to scry on his patron
Lushirosi?
dragon. No,
Oh.
not a Lushirosi. It doesn't matter what he's doing.
Fuck that guy. He left.
Fucking guy.
I scry on Lushirosi and just see Lekexicus to his back.
Right. See all of Lekexicus and all of Lushirosi.
Well,
Which reminds
What
me, do tieflings have like a similar gestation period as humans, or
I mean, it's roughly comparable. But that usually all of your information would be on either tiefling human couplings or tiefling couplings.
Mhm.
Tiefling Asimar couplings are unheard of.
do they cancel each other out?
Yeah, you're not sure.
Just come out as human.
that would be interesting.
You guys have you guys seen What We Do in the Shadows, the show?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I saw
Oh,
the first
Colin?
few
They
episodes
make
of the show.
Colin.
Well, I don't know about you, Seahole, but that information seemed to be worth at least as much as 25 gold.
Don't push it. I thought you were gonna say 50 gold pieces.
No, I'm not gonna upcharge, but because this is just some asshole off the street, but he's a useful asshole, and maybe he has more use in the future.
Whoa.
We'll have to say that was.
You,
I
you
agree
never
with-
know.
I agree that it was worth its weight in gold, and he'll push the 13, the remaining 13 on the table towards him.
So. Any, can you give me any hints as to what it is you're hunting for?
I don't see any harm in sharing.
How much time you got?
Insight. Pretty please. Insight. Yeah, maybe, possibly. If I can roll, I mean, No
I mean, you
roll
get the
with them?
sense, he's just curious.
okay.
Like there's a lot of gossip that passes around here.
I'll reserve perhaps another insight for once he hears what we're seeking. Maybe that curiosity.
So we're seeking the southern sage.
Oh. I mean, I'm vaguely aware of the Southern Sage. Don't know many people who go in search of the Southern Sage. It's kind of mostly like a prince and rich person thing, isn't it? But he sort of
Generally.
looks you up and down and he's judging your level of wealth and finds you lacking for the prince or wealthy person.
Yeah, I mean, the southern sage is pretty costly, so mostly people that have slaves to spare. But
Well, I mean,
Well-
also it's mostly people who have like big questions, not adventurers. Like
Well,
I
who
wouldn't
says
risk
that
my
it-
life just to go, find the location of some random piece of treasure.
well,
Do you not have big questions as an adventurer?
None that I'd
Yes.
risk my life for, or spend tens of thousands of gold to get the answers to.
so we must be pretty desperate then if we're seeking the southern sage.
Or maybe you're just much wealthier than I imagine.
No.
I don't have any money.
I
Well,
mean,
not much.
What's the name of that damn city?
Dawat Pajar.
Dawat Pajar.
Are
the
you
sage.
mentioning Dawat Pajar?
Yeah, no, I would just say the sage is a pathway to a different goal.
Well, I think that's probably always true, I guess. Everybody goes to the sage looking for something not that the sage has, but that the sage can lead them to. I mean, normally, isn't it like eternal life or youth or something like that? You don't look super old.
Not
just
that
not-
all is cracked up to be. Wouldn't go wishing for that.
He would know.
Guys. X-nay on the,
I'm allowed to talk about my dreams.
How do you
And
find-
Teal can't remember your name in this one. I'm allowed to talk about my dreams, short one. Short stuff.
You.
Yeah, I like to imagine T-Hole just doesn't care what his name is and just makes something up. I'm allowed to talk about my dreams, Ginkle Bop.
Wow.
How do you even find the Southern Sage?
With a map.
Oh, so that's why you're looking for Odeon.
Yeah.
We need
By the way,
clarification.
where is he?
I mean, it's not quite been half an hour of talking to this guy yet. So that's how long it takes for him to get here. He probably still has, 10 minutes or something. So what part of the desert are you going into? Maybe I can help you out a little bit more if I know where you're going.
Around the gates of Sewell.
Oh, so that's right at that sort of line between the demons and the giants. So you're going in that part of the desert, as I understand it, you're much more likely to find mixed groups, giants and demons together. For the most part, the Giants are in control. But that's, I think, as I interpret some of the stories, that's just because the Giants have a certain sense of like order about them. The Giants are an army, basically. Whereas the demons might exist in small groups together, but they'll fight amongst themselves. They don't take orders very well. So they, barely listen to the Giants even. Still, if you have to put somebody in charge, you don't put one of the demons in charge for the most part. I don't know that much about the Gates of Seoul itself. It's like a pilgrimage site. That's about as much as I know. It's ancient. I've heard that there's not much in the way of tombs around it, which I've always found a little surprising, but so deep into the desert, I'm not going to go out there with a spade and start digging and just hope to find something. But with something that old, you would think there'd be other ruins around it. And I'm told by people who've been there that there really isn't. So
Yeah,
I
it's a
guess
real-
it makes sense if the sage wanted to hide out. A little odd that he'd go towards something that's so famous, but certainly he wouldn't run into many adventurers there. He looks at Zarius. There's some religious significance to it, right?
To which place?
The Gates of Seoul.
Do I know of them? Of any religious thing? I don't remember.
Right. So, I mean, what you would know about them is that there's no official religious significance to those gates. They're some sort of ancient structure. There is, however, like folk religious belief among the Dragonborn that you can go there and get like blessings of fertility and good health and long life and other sorts of blessings.
Okay,
But
right.
that is not something that like the priests actively encourage or believe in themselves.
Okay. Then yeah, I would just say that it's just no official holy site.
I've mostly heard of it in context of people traveling there for some sort of religious thing, or on their way to Akados, maybe they would stop by there to see it. I do know several adventurers who've gone there, some of whom have never made it back, but I think that's just a function of the fact that that's pretty deep in the desert, so dangerous on its own, even before the war. There are occasionally things that live in the desert that can pose a threat, even to trained adventurers. Are you sure is it just the four of you going out there?
We will be fine.
All right. Seems a little dangerous, but I'm sure you know what you're doing.
It will surely be dangerous. But we have been through many dangerous activities. Even so far as leaving this world altogether.
Somehow we turned out all right so far.
Mostly.
So yeah, I don't know anything specific that deep into the desert, other than I'm sure the demons must have done some searching around the Gates of Seoul for whatever it is they're looking for. There's a story of a ghostly figure with a cat's head that has been seen around Akidos, and Akidos isn't that far away from the Gates of Seoul. But I don't know what to make of that. A cat-headed ghost. It's weird enough that I imagine there must be something to it.
How many adventurers are coming up this way from Akados to deliver these rumors to you?
Not that many anymore, but in the early days of the war, you have to remember the war ones were the bread and butter of the adventuring community. Most of the unrated tombs you could find would have been in Onlaith, and in southern Onlaith in particular, there were a lot of tombs. Now, And he looks again at Zarius. The Dragonborn didn't approve of our raiding the tombs in the southern desert. But nonetheless, there was a lot of wealth to be had if you could find something. If you stumbled across something and it wasn't already rated, you could pretty much guarantee yourself enough gold to retire on if you lived frugally. You could find 2 or 3, definitely set yourself up, particularly in southern Onley. Now, why there'd be certainly there are undead in that area. You know, you open enough tombs, you're going to find some undead. But a cat-headed ghost in a dragonborn country, maybe one of their rulers was a cat-headed person. I don't know. Maybe he was cursed.
Sounds like an Asimar.
Yes.
I've seen a couple Asimar. I've never seen one with a cat head.
That is what
Lucharosi was unique
Lucharosi
in that
is.
sense. Yeah, but most Asimar are just like, they have like neat golden eyes or something like that.
Well,
Yeah,
the other Asimar
Aurelia
that had-
turned.
right. Well, Aurelia did, but that was special.
Just because he's unique doesn't, or just because he's, you know, we've not seen another one doesn't mean there wasn't another one. Maybe it was Lucharosi. Didn't he forget his didn't he forget some shit or something? I don't remember.
Yeah, he woke up from being petrified.
Wouldn't it be the biggest slap in the face if he was related to T-Hole?
The unloved child.
And if he dies, he just comes back. Kurt, we gotta make this happen. All right.
Well, I mean, definitely Teal would never have come back as a ghost. But yeah, it's now canon that Lucharosi is one of Teal's offspring.
Yeah. Just by like sheer numbers, right? Like Genghis Khan sort of numbers.
Wow. That's
So-
that rumor sounds interesting. We'll have to be on our guard.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know even that the ghost is supposed to be all that dangerous. I have been told that it was wrecking a bunch of demons at one point. This was really pretty early in the war. Oh, I don't think I fully answered your question. But yeah, adventurers used to come up from that far south. However, once they sealed the gates around Darmersha, obviously you don't have the traffic coming back and forth anymore.
Right.
But the gates were open for a good 6 months and we were still venturing out into the desert before the gates were shut.
Did any of you get stuck out there?
I'm sure some adventurers certainly did. They must have. That said, you know, not every adventurer who goes out reports back in here. Even if they're members here, sometimes they just never come back at all. I imagine anybody who actually made it out and got stuck behind the wall either would have taken refuge in one of the Dragonborn cities or eventually would have made the way to a port on the Sea of Glass and just sailed away. Assuming they survived.
Did you
Yeah,
ever
so-
raid any of those old tombs?
Me? No, not the old tombs. I mostly stayed out of Onlaith myself. There's a lot of desert outside of Onlaith, even outside the wall here at Darmersha, essentially an unclaimed land, mostly around Hesh.
Insight?
Actually, I just rolled. Your passive insight would be he is lying. He just
Yeah,
thinks you're
yeah,
not gonna
yeah.
react. You're not gonna react well, so he's just making stuff up.
I just like stare at him.
He blinks back at you silently.
Did you keep anything?
I mean, I still have some gold that I made off stuff I sold. But I'm not interested in antiquities.
You mean property?
I mean, yeah, sure. Stuff you take out of old tombs and ruins. Not really my bag. I don't know that much about the history of the places I've gone. I'm mostly just trying to earn a living.
Hmm.
As we all are.
So what I was going to say, if you do find yourself getting in trouble, probably your best bet is to make your way to the Sea of Glass, assuming you can't just fly across the wall again. Because along the Sea of Glass, there are still occasional smuggling groups who might be able to get you out, although they probably, I imagine, would charge a great deal of money to get you out. You'd be displacing cargo, if nothing else.
It seems reasonable.
If you know the right people, there's still a fairly good supply of gemstones that make their way out of the warm lands. And by the right people, I mean, the right criminal people.
Well, of course.
And at that point, the door opens and a small black-haired man comes in. He's probably a southerner. He looks relatively pale, but otherwise his features are typical of what you would see down here. He is maybe 5 feet tall. He is exceptionally short for a human. He's got a very sort of thin, sparse beard, very uneven. And he said, he immediately walks up to you after scanning the room. It seems as if he probably knows most of the people who are in here. And he says, "Hello, I am Otian, the cartographer for the Delvers Guild. I was told that there are customers here who need my services." And he swings like a bag off of his back, or like a haversack, and puts it down onto a table. You can see there's all sorts of map making supplies and a collection of maps in there. What business is it that you have?
You're muted on your headset.
Hi, Odian. We have some questions about a map that we found that we were hoping that you might help us understand some of the terminologies and things to improve our ability to actually get to where this map is telling us to go.
And he begins to tie back up the opening of the bag and says, "Oh, very good. I'm very happy to help you with this. I will charge 100 gold."
Giddy Winks looks to the purse.
T-Hole looks around. It's kind of like John Travolta. You guys got to start paying your own way around here. And he pulls out 100 gold and hands it to him.
Can I see the map, please? I should have said it is 100 gold per day. So if I must do multiple days worth of work to research your map, I will require additional funds.
Okay.
Well, fortunately, it's already translating.
So,
Right, so you have a translated version online. But it's actually still in its original language. It's just, you have done a translation of it using magic.
And wrote down the
So-
translations.
Right. But when you hand it to him, he seems as if he's able to read it. It's a very, very sparse map. Interesting. It is the skeleton of a map almost. So this is obviously the Gate of Holy Soul. That suggests, well, the father sleeps. Come with me. And he walks down a hall, down the middle of the building. And
Okay.
turns into a room. In the room, there's a fairly large circular table. It's maybe 6 feet across. And the walls are lined with books. Not like thousands of books, but probably a couple hundred books. And he places the map on the table and then proceeds to pull a few books down. This probably will take me perhaps 2 hours. There's not that much information on the map, but sometimes the translation can be subtle. So, or the references within it could be subtle and they could require additional cross-referencing to make sure I get this correct. You can wait here with me if you like to make sure I do not purloin your map.
We would find you.
Well, you do not have to wait here if you do not want. But if you come back within 2 hours, I should be done, I imagine.
Oh, no, we'll wait here.
We have all day.
Do I still have that looking glass, or just Claves have it again? Or
I probably would have. I would have given it to you because, no, I don't think I would have, because I don't feel guilty about the mirror. Or Clave doesn't feel guilty about it. So no, he would, if you want it, he'll give it to you, but I mean, he'll hand it to you. He'll expect it back.
Yeah, so I'll say, may I borrow the looking glass?
Yeah, sure. Then he hands it to you.
And I'll just with whatever table he's on, I want to find a different table, maybe if there's another one.
So there's only one table. This room's not big enough for 2 tables. There's only one table in this room. There are all the tables out front.
Okay. Trying not to interrupt this dude. So I guess I'll just take it and go to the front. And I'll just begin the scrying ritual again. I'm gonna try and scry on the patron dragon. This takes 10 minutes. I don't know if anybody else is doing anything.
I mean, T-Hole probably would have an academic curiosity of his collection and just like kind of mindlessly peruse some of his books, looking at the spine.
So most of them aren't in, I mean, can you read languages? Or it's only speak languages?
It's only spoken.
So most of them you would find are not in any of the languages you speak. A lot of them aren't even in alphabetical languages. They seem to be in some sort of pictograms. You do see a couple books that appear to be in the same language as the map. But once you're looking at it, all of them appear to be kind of, it's a mixture of either books specifically about maps, or most of them are histories.
Gotcha.
Yeah, actually, let's take a 5-minute break. Since I have to look up what the saving throws for a dragon are.
Sounds good.
So your spell succeeded, but is anybody else doing anything during that 10 minutes?
Swaying
So-
around, maybe playing my water phone.
Odian definitely stops, slams his hand on the book and says, "Can you please do that elsewhere?"
Oh, sorry, my apologies.
So you cast your spell, and then looking through the spyglass, you do see an image begin to resolve. The sensor then appears within 10 feet of the dragon. You see essentially, you realize what you're looking at is just an enormous eye socket, and it appears to be hollow, as if the eye is missing. But the eyelid flutters open. That's your, give me a medicine check. So you can tell that the eye has been pried out, probably with some degree of care, as there doesn't seem to be much damage to the surrounding tissue. But as the eye flutters open, which doesn't always happen when people remove an eye, you see inside the eye socket, there is just a pale red dot that begins to glow brighter and brighter, that you can immediately recognize as the eye of some sort of undead creature. And you can almost feel actually the annoyance pouring through the spyglass, which is an unusual feeling, as normally you don't get sensory feedback like it. But you do hear, "Spy upon me." And the dragon begins to cast a spell. What are you doing?
I don't know. Watching?
And then you hear a bit of a roar, and the dragon pulls back a bit, and you could see, like, around it, there are mostly skeletal remains of what appear to be a variety of giants and dragonborn. You don't see anything that you would identify as like demons, but it is possible they just don't decay in the same way. The other demons you've seen tended to just vanish and evaporate away when they died on the material plane. So it is possible there were even more, but just from the small section you can see through the sensor, there must be in a cavern the size of the one the dragon occupies, just hundreds, maybe thousands of bodies, all of which have been dead a pretty long time, like more than a year. And it is just now laying upon a pile of these bones. Whereas before it had quite a sizable hoard under it. You don't see much evidence. There's an occasional glimmer of a coin here or there. It seems as if a lot of its hoard has been replaced with these bones. And it is clearly annoyed. You can make me an untrained Arcana check to see if you could identify what it cast. Yeah, I can't quite make out what it was casting through just the eyepiece, but it begins to do something else. And the sensor winks out, and you're just looking at a wall again.
Zarius would just slowly return to wherever Clave is. I don't know, what is Clave doing?
Playing his
Is
water
he still
phone
with
in
the map
front room.
maker? You're muted.
You're muted, Hawk.
Nope. Yep.
Too many
Double
mutes.
muted.
I said that he was playing his water phone in the room, but then he stopped when it annoyed the cartographer. So he's just kind of sitting there like watching the cartographer work and just chilling.
Yeah, so basically, yeah, Zarius would just slowly walk back to the room and just quietly just sort of like set it down, not say anything. Find a seat and just sit.
Would it be apparent to Clave that something's wrong with your posture or how you're presenting?
Yeah, probably. I don't think Zarius would know what to do right now.
Zarius, you okay?
She is dead.
Who is dead?
I'll speak the draconic name.
Have you?
You probably,
Have
I
you
don't know.
ever,
You probably never heard me say the name.
So Clay would just kind of like sit like not knowing if you're just speaking another language and you've forgotten common or if you're having a stroke. You know, he might ask you to smile, but then he realized you were dragonborn. So that's pointless.
And he's always smiled like once in his life, so.
What?
That sounds about right. She's dead. And then she has been corrupted into a mockery of life.
But who is dead?
I'll say the name again. My clan's patron.
That sounds bad.
The clan cannot exist without her.
Would Clave know or understand that the patron of a dragonborn clan is an actual full-blooded dragon?
Probably not. There's not a lot of Dragonborn up north.
So your patron has died and is now been corrupted and is undead?
Yes.
So Clave actually becomes genuinely concerned and says, I'm sorry, Zarius, that sounds like really terrible. Do you need anything?
To find the one that did it.
So I know that we're after working with the Southern Sage and hoping that he doesn't kill us, and actually grants us the thing that we're seeking. Do we proceed with going to the Tough Nut Oasis, or do we need to switch gears?
Would I know where she normally slumbered?
That was pretty secret. Like, you know that she is in the mountains south of Akados, but
Okay.
the specific cavern, like, first of all, she tended to move.
Sure. Yeah.
But the
That's where
specific
she's there in that mountain range normally.
right. But you're 100% sure Kepri would know where she was.
Right.
Where is
I
Kepri?
mean, Kepri should be around.
Right.
What she's doing?
That's a good question. I mean, are you sharing this information directly with her? Or is
Well,
she
I
just
mean,
overhearing this
just-
conversation?
She would have just heard. I don't think Zarius would have just like told her outright because he was still trying to grasp it himself. So she's just hearing it along with Clave, I would imagine.
So she suddenly like materializes to full visibility and says, "What? She's undying. She can't be killed. You must have been wrong. Like maybe there was like an illusion,
And T
or it's just some trick of the demons to make you think she's dead, but she can't actually die."
All things die.
But she was around before any of us, and she's gonna be around for long after. She can't be dead. It's not possible.
I just like pat her head.
T-hole Kramer slides over. Who's dying? I couldn't help but overhear from across the room that someone died.
I say the draconic name again.
It's an
never-
awful shame to have something so core to your identity and culture be corrupted, isn't it?
Waiting for
Doesn't feel
Aurelia.
too good, does it?
Waiting for Aurelia to pop up to be like, "Who died?"
Oh,
Except when she does it, it's a happier thing.
Who died? Ooh, who died?
well, it's the third one this week.
Yeah. Aurelia's just like lucky.
Your, are you sure it's dead? This patron. This dragon, and not been converted to undead or been corrupted somehow.
I used the looking glass. And I gazed upon her from here.
Would only, so does everybody see Kepri?
Yes.
Kepri, what did she look like the last, or what did this dragon look like the last time you saw her?
She's the most magnificent copper dragon in the entire world. And don't buy into this. This is not reality. This is some sort of trickery.
Well, crazier things have happened.
And Zarius, it's about at this point you would notice everybody is now on their feet and slowly inching in.
What do you mean?
I mean, everybody, you're in the front room where everybody was sort of gathering, shooting the shit. And now they've all seen this tiny dragon appear.
Didn't Clave say he was still in the room with the guy?
No, he got chased out of that room because that guy was trying to read.
I thought he just stopped.
Oh. That's what I thought too, but maybe.
Okay, then I'm mistaken. Then the guy has stopped reading to peer at the tiny dragon.
Okay.
I thought this was going on in the front room.
I don't think T-hole would have, or C-hole would have casually mentioned like something along those lines, with a lot of ears around.
Yeah, I think the Clave would have only brought it up just because Zarius seems so shook by whatever it was that he saw.
And Kepri says, you agree with me, right, Darius? She's fine, right?
He was just sort of pat her on the head. Yes, of course. But like no demeanor change whatsoever.
Don't scare me like that. She turns invisible again and lands on your shoulder.
Does this change things, Zarius? Zarius?
Zarius is thinking.
Do we need to proceed differently in any way, or do we keep on the course, or?
For now, we keep on, but should be cautious in case they can call upon her. She would be a mighty foe. We would not win.
Would your power cease to exist if she were no longer alive?
No. I draw my power from the faith.
Well, that's good. At least. A copper lining. Well, if we need to go and make a pit stop. And I'm not really sure what we would do to help her. Well, we
Wait,
could.
who's this?
She would be further south than our current goals. But if the opportunity arises, I do not know if she is undead. We would not be able to slay her. We would need to find the source of that and end it.
Well, I'll just add it to the list.
Yeah, when Kurt said that people were moving in, I thought, oh shit, this is the spell. The dragon just dominated everybody here in the complex. Now we're
Right.
Yeah, no, it's much more embarrassing for the dragon than that. She was just trying to dispel the little sensor,
Yeah.
but she failed.
Yeah.
So
roll
then
high
she had
enough.
to cast it again.
She had to roll a 15. She rolled a 10 the first time.
There's one good thing about being a dragon, she could see the little invisible sensor. And Odeon says, I do not think I fully understand everything that you're saying, but if you're saying that the patron dragon of your people has been dispatched, I cannot imagine by what force would have taken perhaps a whole army to subdue her, I would assume. You might be able to find more information in Akedos. If there are any of your people left there, that is.
If there are, then they are likely changed.
Odion, does this guild have a library?
This is the guild's library.
Oh,
It's not very big.
m- might I peruse some of the books?
Feel free.
So, Clay would be looking for something on undead. Specifically any kind of undead draconic stuff, because he doesn't know that Zarius's patron is a dragon, but he's gonna assume dragonborn of some sort, so. Because I don't think Clave ever heard of undead dragonborn. I don't think that thought ever even occurred to him. So,
So there are definitely a couple of books here about undead. There's nothing specific to undead draconic beings. But sort of general primers. A lot of it is personal reflections and recollections of fighting undead. So it is a lot of stuff that's been encountered in the deserts and in tombs. So it's basically a listing of lore related to mummies of various types. And there do seem to be more than just the standard monster manual variant being described, as well as vampires and things like that. You don't actually see anything on some of the mummies in particular are dragonborn. So you do find that. You don't see anything on like dragonborn liches. But you
Right.
do see a fair bit on like dragonborn zombies. Even a dragonborn vampire has been reported.
would Clave know of liches? I mean, I guess we fought the demi lich,
Right.
but
You're aware of liches are sort of commonly understood to exist. Although, the fine distinction between like how is a lich different than some other sort of undead maybe
Mhm.
isn't a general understanding, but it is
So-
known that they can cast spells and are undead.
So Clave would go up to Zarius and probably bring one of the books if it had any kind of pictorial like diagrams or demonstrations or anything. And he would ask Zarius, what did you see when you saw your patron? Like specifically, what did they look like?
Yeah, I'll just sort of describe the state of her and the missing eye and that sort of telltale sign of some force keeping the body animate behind the eyes within the eye sockets.
Yeah, you can both make me religion checks, and Sarius, you can make it with advantage.
Well, that's good because I suck at it.
I don't.
So, I mean, Clave would actually generally be aware that sometimes dragons can be reanimated as liches. Typically, they're very skeletal beings, and the skeleton separates from the body. And that's not exactly what Zarius saw, but most of the flesh is still on this dragon. But a lot of it has been worn away. It appears almost as if the dragon has been partially consumed in places. So there are clear holes in her hide that lead to her organs, but a lot of her organs seem to have been intact and in place, including her other eye. It's only one eye that seems to be missing.
I'm assuming that the eye that was within the globe whenever the Dragonborns attacked us, the assassins, was probably hers.
Yeah, I mean, thinking back on it, you could definitely identify that that had to be her other eye. But I mean, she almost looks zombified more than a typical Draco Lich.
And based on Sirius's description, Clave would kind of understand the differences of in the subtleties of that.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it seems like you actually know more about Draco Liches than he does. Maybe they're taboo among, even to discuss among the Dragonborn.
That would make sense. So would Clave know that, like, do Draco Liches typically have phylacteries like liches, or is there something else?
So yeah, you would know that not every Lich has a phylactery. A phylactery is kind of like an insurance plan. So the more time and power a Lich has, the more likely they are to have a phylactery to bring them back in case something goes awry.
Okay. So Clave would kind of share with Zarius. Well, Zarius, based on what you said, it's a little strange. Like, it seems like your patron was mummified or zombified to some degree, but also shares characteristics with a lich. It may be that perhaps it was fairly recently that she was turned, or there might be something else going on. Which means that we don't really know how we would need to deal with her. It's possible she has some kind of source of her power, as you suggested, like a phylactery, which liches have sometimes, but maybe not. But either way, if she is a Draco Lich or even something similar, you're right. We do need to be very careful.
She is supposed to be undying. Perhaps this is a sign of it.
Undying doesn't have to mean undead.
I suppose that would explain why she doesn't fit the category. Why she's if was she alone in her lair?
Just surrounded by bodies.
Bodies?
Old
Like-
bodies. Quite decayed.
So is it possible that maybe she
And her
was-
horde was gone, right? You said
It was mostly gone.
mostly gone. Yeah.
Well, how much does Clave know about proper dragons?
I mean, you would generally know most of the general adventurer stuff. There are a lot of stories about dragons.
So Clave would come to this conclusion, whether it's right or wrong. That's not for him to decide, but he would suggest, is it possible that she fought off an army intent on trying to kill her, but was seriously wounded. And in order to recover from her wounds, she ate her hoard. Perhaps she is healing?
I do not know.
It sounds like we need to pay her a visit regardless, otherwise it's just pure speculation.
Pay her a visit. That sounds very dangerous to just casually drop in on a dragon who may or may not be undead and pissed off at having survived an attack.
I will send her a message. Tomorrow.
Yeah, a lot of messages to send tomorrow.
Yeah.
Mushiroshi, dragon, maybe vampire.
Why no?
Let me just send a quick message. So as you have this conversation, Odeon settles back into his reading.
All right, well,
Yeah. Zarius would just, remain quiet unless spoken to.
all right, well. Let us know if you need anything, Zarius. Yeah, I think Clave would kind of just go back to sitting in the corner and just kind of maybe just continuing to do some reading in the library. Nothing in specific, just kind of perusing what they got.
Okay, so after a couple of hours has passed, Odeon closes a book and says, well, I think I can direct you further. Is everybody in this room with him?
Yeah.
I was.
Here.
So taking out your map, he says, I understand that for most people, you're not so much interested in the history or the analysis of how I get to my interpretation of the map. And there are still some mysteries that I have not yet been able to find an answer to. I may be able to find additional detail, but it probably would take a couple of days of reading and cross-referencing. So I'm very glad that they marked the Gate of Holy Soul here on this map, or else I would not be able to tell where to start from. So the first thing I would say is, For reasons I do not understand, note that there is path here shown that circles the Gate of Holy Soul from the south, and then goes through it to the north. Assuming the Gate of Soul has some magical properties, I would follow the map very precisely in this and circle the gate and then enter it from the south, walking north, as rituals have a way of going awry if you don't follow them precisely. Now, it says to pace 10,000 king strides north to the Scorpion. The Scorpion is not a reference that I am able to find. However, king strides, that rate relates back to King Elias. And Elias, as you may or may not know, was very old and very feeble, but nonetheless tended to walk with a bit of a gentle correction in his stride. So when it says to walk north, but king strides, that is in fact a code saying that you should not walk directly north, but you should walk 7 degrees off of north. I do not know if you have a map or a compass so that I can show you the 7 degrees. I mean, I can, if you would like, if it would make it easier for you, I could mark these positions on a map for you for a small fee.
Well, I think that would be easiest.
This obviously, the Adventurers Guild needs to earn its keep. So I think we could sell you a map with the precise precisions of both the destination, which is apparently called Scorpion, and where the father sleeps, for the low price today only of 1,000 gold pieces.
But a less precise one.
But a less precise one is I tell you how to follow the map.
I think we'll take you up on your secondary offer.
Very well.
No, we'll get the gold.
Will we?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just wait here.
And Clave is gonna walk out of the room. He's gonna walk back in the room and say, by the way, Odian, is there somewhere that I can relieve myself?
That corner
we-
good enough.
Yes. We do not have any sort of specific place. You must go outside and find in the middle of the street, there is a trough. You can relieve yourself in the trough.
In the middle.
I'm a little, I get a little pee shy. Is there anywhere a bit more private?
No. You can find an alley, although it's considered quite rude to relieve yourself in an alley between two people's buildings. Where the rain, if the rain ever falls again, nothing will ever sweep it into the trough in the middle of the street to wash it away.
I see. Okay. By the way, how long is it gonna take to make the markings on the map?
Not very long. I have to find a good quality map for you, but I could have it done in half an hour.
Perfect. By the time you're done with it, I'll have the coin. Just give me a little bit of time.
Very well. I will wait here.
All right. I'll be back.
So Clave is gonna look for somewhere out of the open, somewhere secretive where he can cast creation and create 1,000 gold pieces.
So you do that.
And I'm gonna try and time it so that he'll be, I'll have it created fairly close to the half hour point, so that when I get back, we have a full hour to get going.
Yeah, so when you get back, it doesn't look like he's moved. He didn't pop up and immediately go to make this map.
What do you, I told you. Get
Oh,
going, to get started. I told you I was
I
gonna bring the money.
I thought I was supposed to wait here until you brought the money. But you have the money now, right? So I can
have
see
the
the
money.
money.
Yeah, he shows it.
And he opens up the haversack that was by the side of his chair and pulls out a map that seems to be of the Warmlands. And he pulls out a little spot of ink and a quill, dips it in, and puts 2 dots on the map. There you go.
Oh. Well, here, you've really earned this.
I mean, I would say the map he is giving you is rather nice. So it's not maybe 1,000 gold pieces nice, but he is giving you something.
Oh, yeah.
And he is
So-
getting nothing.
In case the information is useful, again, King strides require you not to walk north, but you must walk north with a lean to the west, as that is what the King stride is. You then don't go directly purely northeast, but it is more east by northeast to get to the second location where it says the father sleeps. The distances probably do not matter because you can see them on this map. The scale of the map is relatively accurate. The father sleeps. I was able to find some reference to that. There is an ancient, I don't know that I would say obelisk, but perhaps a giant egg is the best term for it. It is a huge ovoid structure that was formerly of the god Dewan, the cat-headed god. Very few traces exist of the cat-like structures of it, but if you look closely, they say you could still make out sections of the paws of the creature on the ground as it rests. It was once upon a time probably in the shape of a funerary cat of the ancient desert peoples. This is, I believe, the location where it says the father sleeps. I do not know who the father refers to, however, perhaps Dewan himself. And I'm not sure why it says he sleeps, although, as I said, it is a funerary cat, and so perhaps there is a relationship between the funerary nature of the cat and this reference to sleep. As for the spirits beyond, I think that may just be a warning. I've not found any direct references. Certainly, the Hinjaz Mountains are not especially known to be haunted by the undead. Of course, you can find undead anywhere if you look long enough, but it is not generally thought of as the most dangerous place in terms of undead. There are various creatures that do live in the mountains, but it is mostly heat and the utter lack of moisture that tends to kill people stupid enough to wander through the Hinjaz. That said, the ovoid that represents Dewan, that is not in the Hinjaz. It is in a little valley at the foothills of the Hinjaz. And it seems as though that is your destination.
Thank you very much, Odion. A+ at work. All right. Samus, Seahole. Bell, shall we?
And Clave kind of hurriedly encourages people to leave quickly.
Zarius is very slow.
Well, I'm ready.
Oh,
Peel
and
says
Clave,
as he
Clave took the
looks-
map and everything too.
Peel starts looking for wine.
Stop by the cellar on the way out.
No, no, T-hole.
It's not a bad idea, actually. While we're here, might as well
No.
look.
No, no, might as well leave. Gotta go.
I tip him 3
No.
gold pieces for his trouble.
Thank you, but you are overpaying me.
You certainly are.
So yeah, T-hole would exit.
Yeah.
Skedaddle.
Yeah, time to leave.
So I have marked the 2 locations on the actual map.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I have telepathy. So I would share with everybody. Guys, he's got fake gold. We need to go before it turns into shadow.
How long does that take?
An hour.
Ah,
Yeah, I mean, Zarius is not rushing for anything right now, but he will move.
So you're able to make it out of there with plenty of time to spare.
All right. So, telepathically, Clay would say, all right, so now should we leave? Is there anything else we need to do here?
None on my end.
We do need to still find something to trade the Southern Sage. I don't know if we get that here or along the way.
If you take the direct path, then you're gonna wind up at some point stopping for the night, probably in the Hinjaz Mountains. So not much to find there.
What about the Tough Nut Oasis? Is there anything that might be there?
You're not really sure what would be there at the moment. I mean, there's definitely like water and greenery. But who might be there or what else you might find there, you don't know. Presumably, it's not a stronghold for the Giants because it's supposed to be the staging area for this upcoming plan.
All right, so Aurelia, do you have any ideas?
or as what?
Like what we can trade the Southern Sage?
I have no idea.
Well, we need something. And we also have assassins on our tail, so
Maybe we can trade the life of the vampire that's hunting us. We can catch it.
we don't know that the vampire is the one hunting us, though. I mean,
He's
sounds
very
like-
sporting if she is, because she told you.
yeah.
Whatever,
Maybe sh-
whatever
maybe-
we agree on, whatever seems to make sense, so it seems like it's a shot in the dark anyway. If you find turbo, it's a shot in the dark. You could try to give it that, give the sage that mace, that intelligent mace that ox-headed creature is using. But who's to know, who knows where he is?
Well, if we did that, then we wouldn't have, we'd have to delay going to seeing the Southern Sage until after the battle. Maybe if, like that's another option, you know, we don't go to the Southern Sage just now. We wait until the battle when we have an opportunity to perhaps capture the Giant King, or Sky Castle.
We could. That's an option. We could. I think the trick is to try to find a present that the Southern Sage would want, not one that we would want to give. I imagine the Southern Sage is well, I imagine the Southern Sage doesn't eat a whole lot of treats. We could bring it some baked goods. How many chocolate
Clave looks at
pastries does the
Clave looks
Southern
at you
Sage?
like just shocked. There's a pained look on his face, like he really, you can tell that he really doesn't want to think anything disrespectful about T-Hole right now, but it's just so hard.
Theo sees Clave's confusion and he says, "Hear me out. We're thinking about what grandiose gifts we could bring the Southern Sage. But what if what the Southern Sage wants all along is just a good meal?"
Maybe it's a hug.
The Southern Sage, in everything that we've read, values two things: living sacrifices of a certain quantity, or rare objects or individuals.
I just
Like,
look at
Quantity,
the
quantity or
rarest.
quality, right? Yes, I don't know.
And I don't know if T-Hole's special cupcakes is gonna fit the bill.
Have you tasted them?
Well, all I'm saying is we could bring some as a backup option.
Try that first, right? Before we give away our more valuable things.
I mean, I would trade a Sky Castle for my life any day of the week. Sky Castles are cool, but I don't like a disease eating me from the inside out. Because don't forget, that's the reason we're doing this.
No, I haven't forgotten.
Oh, I know. Just trying to think of realistic gifts that we could bring the Southern Sage. And, you know, maybe the best gift is the one we haven't thought of.
The gift of a child's laughter.
Like, we can have that in our back pocket, but I would rather have something more substantial to offer to prevent the Southern Sage from feeling like, oh, this isn't good enough, and then eating us.
What if you lace T-Hole special cupcake with Axios's special weed?
Yeah.
That'll put hair in your chest.
We're making edibles now.
What was that drug that they were hooked on?
Oh yeah, the one that like
Ghost weed.
no, the one that makes you go fucking passed out for a while and
And then you learn
come back with a
skills.
different skill.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Fair about her.
Yeah.
Wow. We need to think of something. And soon.
Mhm.
Do you think Zarius, your protector, you said the eye was missing.
Yes, and I would presume destroyed now. As would assume that is the eye that was in the orb on that ship whenever the Dragonborn assassins came after us.
You saw
After me.
You saw no other eye in its place. It was just an empty socket.
And the telltale signs of necromantic undead energy.
Hmm.
Without a doubt, she is undead.
And Kepri flies off your shoulder at that point and reappears. Although you are in the street now, so some people do see this little dragon pop up. As Kepri just yells, "No! No, she can't be! She is like a living deity on this world."
I'm gonna telepathically say to Zarius, kept reappearing out in the open when we have assassins coming after us is not good. Tell her to
Look for the
disappear.
assassins.
Yeah, I'll tell her to contain herself. Before she gets us killed.
So there are a couple people who, notice this thing appear. Several gasps.
I will do it. I will do it telepathically.
And Kepri flies off at that point.
Oh shit.
I tell her to be careful.
Well, it looks like we're gonna have to start preparing our own food and water. God damn it.
I just love that that's what Clave says.
Yeah, I probably do just like almost like side glance him.
And Clay will just be like, what? If she's gone?
That does pose a problem. I mean, it'll be a little bit out of the way, but perhaps we can we can check on we can perhaps there is something we can either help the Draco or help your patron with to restore their previous state, or we can dispatch them. I'm just throwing out ideas, whatever you're comfortable with. But there might be something there that we could, some artifact we could offer to the Southern Sage if we need to.
Most of her hoard was. I'm speaking quietly so that other passerbys can't fucking hear us like chattering about fucking just out in the open here. But say like most of her hoard was taken.
Yeah, at this point, you would all notice that. So a number of people, she was still visible, so everybody sort of saw her dart off. A number of people have started in that direction. Some people are kind of still watching the group and are wandering around. Kepri has flown like directly over the tops of buildings, so she you can't just follow her in a direct line anymore. So the people who haven't chased her are kind of now all focused on you guys.
Okay. I guess as she flew away and I told her to be careful, I tell her to go invisible so that she is not followed for her safety.
So as she disappears over the top of the building, she still seems to be visible, but you're sure she heard you.
Right.
So we best get on. It's, seems that little stunt is made us somewhat famous, and not a good way.
I mean, yeah, anybody who's still looking, I would just like look basically just like stare down anybody and anybody who is still like doesn't look away after me looking, dead at them. I'd say, do you need something?
Get off my lawn.
So make me an intimidation check. Immediately everybody's like, nope, we don't need nothing. The street like virtually clears. A lot of people start piling in to the Delvers Guild.
I like to imagine like I inadvertently sort of channel some sort of like that gray energy of that energy from that nebulous zone between life and death. And it just sort of like emanates from me a little bit. So a lot of shit going on. Zarius is not having it right now.
Even Clave is shaken by that a bit, that display.
What
Yeah.
do we get to appease this sage?
The way I see it, the options that I am aware of are Turbo, the Sulka, or what was it? Skus, the Giant King,
Shalk.
Shalk, yeah. Or his Sky Castle.
I do not believe we could bring the castle through the. How big are these gates?
Not
Castle
from what-
sized? I doubt it.
right. No, it is definitely like if people had to pass through, maybe you could do two people side by side, maybe,
Yeah.
but it's mostly single file.
We can leave the castle outside of the gate, because as the the guy from the Adventurers Guild said, it is rumored to be able to bury itself. So we could do that and bring an object that's representative or connected to the Sky Castle as an offering to represent the entirety of it. Since it is in our possession, just too big to travel with us. And I'm saying all of this telepathically, by the way, which is why I'm in my normal voice.
You also would recall that that it is not impossible to flee the Sage's Cave because he never leaves it. So he might not be as interested in a castle that he'd have to travel to go get.
Yeah, I was like, he doesn't leave this place. Why would he want that?
Maybe he's never had any better options.
Or he's a hermit.
Well, maybe there's something that can be carried that acts as a kind of key to the Sky Castle. If you can't actually hold something in your hand, keeping the thing that prevents others from being able to access it could be. It's not perfect. I prefer Turbo. But Shialk is another good option.
I would,
The capture of a giant seems daunting.
Yeah. Turbo would probably be easier to capture. I mean, I'm welcomed. I'm open to suggestions, but I don't hear anybody else coming up with any ideas aside from baking cookies.
some cookies, biscuits.
They're the same thing.
Yeah, I don't
They're just from
actually
different
remember.
countries.
I don't necessarily know what people have written down. But you know, there are several unique items you guys are aware of, none of which are in your possession, except for one.
Yeah, Teal's aware. Teal's aware, and he is purposefully not saying anything.
You know, maybe it wouldn't be bad for T-Hole to just sacrifice himself because he'll just come back as something else. And then that's just a chance for Dustin to play a new version of T-Hole.
Not if the urn is not if the urn is taken.
Well, leave the art out of it.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, from Teal's perspective, it's not clear what the Sage does with these items. So if he just puts it on a shelf, it actually might be kind of well protected. I mean, that said, the same would be true for like the Wand of Eternity's Doorstep if it's just going to put the wand on a shelf. Or for whatever's become of Solosri.
Acquiring Solosri is not a bad idea. Would remove a powerful weapon from our enemy's hands. And presumably he would be killed in the process. Thus we would remove a powerful leader, if you could call such a thing a leader for demons.
So if we're gonna go after the axe-headed one, then we're probably not going to be able to do that and get to the Southern Sage before the battle takes place at the Tefnut Oasis and the tomb of Karfet.
When is the battle?
Whenever the army gets here and we can somehow summon the castle.
Darius, can
We
you
still
use
have
your magics to
Weeks, a couple of weeks. Well, how long do we say?
Probably a week to 10 days before they get to the oasis, and it's not clear how long before the giants take the bait after that.
Right.
Zarius, can you use your magic to find this ox-headed creature? Or Aurelia? Do you have magic that could locate it?
Oh,
I do not believe I'm familiar enough with the being. Though I could potentially, I should be able to scry out a location.
I mean, we could
What
attempt.
about legend lore? Do you have legend lore?
Yes,
Do you think
Not
legend lore would
prepared.
help with finding the axe-headed creature?
if he is of legendary status.
I guess that depends then, like on your definition of legend. Does legend mean old or awesome?
whatever happened to the map?
Lucia Rossi took it. Just in case he would come across the weapon. We should have known better. We're playing this party, so it would be this party who fucking finds it.
Well, we could, if we were able to recover the weapon, but not enough time to directly go to the Southern Sage, we can always keep it with us whilst we meet up at the tomb of the Tefnut Oasis, and then return to the Southern Sage with the offering after the battle, if we're pressed for time. Assuming that we're able to recover it with enough time to spare before the battle.
I mean, we certainly have time to do research to try and find this ox-headed creature. The problem is that here in Darmersha, we have assassins and vampires.
But there is the
Turbo.
cultist.
And possible cultists of Thurisdud. So we
And
need,
Turbo is relatively nearby.
yes.
Think it'd be best if we just left sooner than later.
Right, but to where?
No matter what, even across the wall, over the wall, it is going to be dangerous. At least here, any agent that works against us must do so in the shadow, in secret.
According to who? You don't know if they're willing to just blow up a town square to get us.
if they are willing to create such a broad display, it will draw attention to them. And that is not a very good assassin.
Yeah, but they might not care.
It is not a very good assassin.
You don't know that. There are magics that can create constructs willing to self-destruct themselves. How would you track that down? There's all kinds of things that can be done that create massive scale destruction that may be very difficult to find. And even so, then we're in the crater while Darmersha has to worry about who blew up our town square. I'm just saying that we need to figure out what we're doing so that we can begin being cautious and start planning to be defensively prepared while we're pursuing our goals. But in order to do that, we need to identify what are our goals and how do we get there. So if we're going to face this, if we're going to choose to try and battle with the ox-headed one and take this artifact that he carries,
We should leave soon.
but to where? We don't know where he is. That's the point that I'm trying to make. We're here in Darmersha. There are resources here. Let's use them to do research, but we need to set ourselves up somewhere safe.
I mean, we know that the demons have taken, are holding the line below the gates of Seoul. So we know at least in that direction if would be a pretty good place to start regardless. I would think that the most logical place that to go to if we're looking for this creature would be to Akados.
That was my thought. Then at least we would be close to the gates.
And maybe we could get firsthand reports, which would be more valuable than anything we'd probably dig out of a library up here. We'd be working off of rumors that are 500 miles old rather than rumors and news that are much closer.
So what do we know about Akados other than that it's currently controlled by giants and have full of demons around it?
That was calm. That was controlled by giants with demons around it. You don't even know that much about Akados.
Oh. If we're gonna go to Akados, we should at least try to get some information about what we might expect so that we can be prepared there. Because if it is overrun with giants, we need to figure out how we can fit in so that we don't get assaulted by the giants. If it's overrun with demons, we need to be prepared to fight demons that have overrun an entire city. So
That's fair. I think it is worth gathering what information we can on Akados while we're here. But
and perhaps that's a matter of Zarius using his scrying abilities to search upon Akados and see what the lay of the land looks like. But I would also prefer to try and get other sources of information as well.
I can do this, but not in the streets. I say a dwarven Gesundheit. Or not dwarven, but a draconic.
well, if
Alright,
that's the
so-
case, let us return to let's return to our room.
Do we want to stay there? Do we want to go somewhere else?
You
Good
have
point.
you have made it relatively secure.
Yeah, but I could do that somewhere else too.
I do not think it matters.
I don't like the fact that a vampire walked up to our room. Like. It kind of gives me the heebie-jeebies.
It did
I don't
not
want
come
I don't
in.
want the vampire to know where we're at.
It is likely the assassins were sent here because we were scryed upon.
You were scryed upon.
The group. Someone here. It just takes one.
Even so, it can scry on us all at once if it doesn't know where we are. If it just sees, because with scrying, you just see the area around the person, right? You can't like pan out to get more details than what's immediately in their vicinity, correct, Zarius?
Yes, correct.
Okay. So,
But if someone is familiar enough with the city, they may recognize furniture.
which
So
is
wherever
why
we go, change the furniture.
Well, right. Why don't we just like create some little pocket in the city that isn't even connected to a building?
The benefit of being in an inn is that there are people. Just because you think that perhaps they do not care, they might. And it may be beneficial for us. Someone trying to sneak about looks more suspicious.
All right. Well, let's at least find a different inn. Havas gives me the creeps as well.
And if Kepri returns, she would not know where to go, but she is familiar with the inn.
Can you just not tell her where we're at?
Not once she has gone too far. Not without spell power.
You have sending.
Not right now.
No, but you can let her know where we are, where to find us.
You're
Already
muted.
have
Right, there'll be
many-
like, there'll be way more sendings than spell slots tomorrow.
Yeah. We'll spend all day tomorrow sending spells, not being able to scry on anything. As I'm consuming higher level slots to send a fucking message. A couple of sentences long.
If you need me to help you send messages, I can help you send messages.
Well, let's find a different inn at least. So, like, as we've kind of been walking around the city, like, do we get the sense of like where we could find another inn?
Sure, I mean, there are plenty of inns that you would have passed to get here.
Okay, I guess Teal would look for one that is unassuming, but is like pretty nice. Like if when you walk in and that kind of hit like you get hit you get hit with like a blast of lavender, where they know it's like they know enough to like they know enough to how to like run a good inn, but like they're not really flaunting it.
So how many hours are you gonna
That's
spend
oddly
looking for
specific.
the blast of lavender in?
He
I
spends all the rest of the day searching and he finds this place. It's called the Lavender Inn. What the fuck?
But he
There's
comes out of a
lot-
place shaking his head and says, vanilla.
Vanilla. Cinnamon.
Cardamom. I hate cardamom.
Potpourri. Fucking amateurs in here.
I think Theo would take as long as it takes. You know, you can't rush perfection. And it's not like we're gonna go anywhere else.
So, I mean, first make me a wisdom check.
Oof. I'm gonna action point that. This is important.
Okay. So you would realize that probably none of the inns that you pass to get here are up to T-hole standards. So you probably have to go to one of the better parts of the city to find that sort of inn. And you've not been required to cross over into the better parts of the city yet.
Okay. Well. If we want a nicer inn, we should probably move to a nicer area of the city.
It does not matter when this one can make the room however nice we want it.
How much money do you have, T-hole? And why is it burning a hole in your pocket so badly now?
So we stop forcing him to pay for everything.
Got enough. And it's not particularly burning a hole in my pocket, but you know, it'd be nice to stay in a nicer place, one that is less likely to have vampires come up and shady innkeepers. And maybe we need to go to a nicer part of the city to get that sort of treatment.
Meanwhile, you occasionally see people peeking out windows to see if you're gone and then ducking back in when they see Zarius is still there.
Claves is done arguing. He's like, wherever you want to go, T-hole, let's just get out of the open.
So let's go. And we'll march towards a nicer part of the city.
So you begin marching towards the northern end of the city, which when you're fly around of it tended to be the wealthier districts. It's not long before you're in a section of the city that is clearly built much more expensively. And you eventually come upon an inn. The Blessings of Heaven Inn.
Teal looks at the sign and then points to Clave and Zarius and Aurelia. He's like, Blessings of Heaven Inn. This sounds like a winner.
Oh, it's gonna be a winner,
Oh my-
all right.
The smell of lavender comes wafting out of the doors. Teal opens them.
Son of a bitch did it. He really did it.
So yeah, you know, Teal walks in and he's like, Blessings of Heaven indeed. And just like takes a deep breath. And plops his arm down on the counter.
Well, I mean, before you even get to the counter, the moment the door opens, you immediately see someone off to the side perks up and begins to eagerly walk up to you, and then looks at the group. These servants' entrances are on back.
We are together. These are not my servants, these are my companions.
You are not workers?
I'm going to telepathically remind T-Hole. By the way, remember everything here is more expensive. Havas charged a gold piece for a simple beer.
We are not workers. We are looking for a room. What accommodations do you have available at the Blessings of Heaven Inn?
So maybe a persuasion check to see how this goes.
Oof.
I am afraid we do not cater to clientele of your station.
What are you trying to say? Are you saying
Ah.
that I'm not good enough to stay here? Are you
Yes,
saying
yes.
are you saying my platinum is not good enough to grace your registers?
We do not accept stolen currency, sir. I'm sorry, but
It
yes,
was earned.
So you're saying that you are, despite all appearances, wealthy.
Why else would I be here? And I see, despite all appearances, you remain a prick. And if you don't want my business, we will go elsewhere.
Oh, very good then. Have a good day. And he
And
steps
Teal-
back into his alcove.
Hold on. I'll show you guys. You'll have to excuse us. Our master is a little bit too humble to show off his possessions. Master, go ahead and press that hidden button on your chest.
And Clave mentally, telepathically says to Teal, just touch your chest.
T-Hole
And then suddenly
touches it.
and the minute that he does that, Clave mentally changes his outfit to be the most luxurious, outlandish, noble outfit he can think of.
What is this sorcery?
Those are magic garments. They're meant to dissuade people from stealing. You can understand our master is quite wealthy and he doesn't like to travel very opulently because it makes us a target. So
So Clave, make me a deception check. You can have advantage. Then I must offer my most humble apologies. He bows very deeply in front of T-Hole. You must understand, I had to go based on the appearance you presented when you walked in. I did not understand that that was a ruse to ward off the lesser peoples. No offense, he says to the rest of you.
Very shallow of you.
Yes, very shallow indeed. But I must do my job, and my job in part includes weeding out those who could not possibly fit in to our fine establishment. If you would still like a room, we would be happy to house you and your servants. If not, I completely understand.
How much are the rooms?
That would be 100 gold pieces per day. That would, of course, cover you, and we will throw in your servants for free, given the misunderstanding.
Still want that little piece of heaven, Teal?
Very well.
Do you have a caravan luggage?
That will not be necessary. Just a hot meal.
Of course, we will have it sent to your room. Let me go find out which rooms are available. I will put you in the finest room we have.
For 100 gold pieces, I sure hope so. Especially after getting insulted. at the door like a common cur. T-hole's not gonna let it go.
So he disappears for a bit and comes back, and he hands T-hole 2 keys.
This economic climate, you're not going to get a comp room.
You are staying in the Eastern Garden room. This is the key for your room. Here is the key for the room for your servants. It is adjacent.
Very well. It's most appreciated. I trust that there is fresh lavender in the rooms, just as there is in the lobby.
Of course there is, sir.
Well, very well. Thank you.
And you make your way to the eastern part of the building. It's pretty easy to find your room. Your room is actually like a multi-room suite. The opening, like, there's this large, lavish area filled with couches. It looks as if there's definitely a hookah in the middle of the room. Then off to the side, there is a master bedroom and a separate bath with a very deep bathtub. It appears as though like water is spilling into it, probably seems to be falling out of midair, so it must be magically created. The smell of lavender is just everywhere in this room. The room immediately next door is about 15 by 10 with several cots.
Does the main room have just a single bed?
Yes, although it is pretty big. You actually probably could all sleep on that bed.
All right, so once we're in, I do my thing and I cast Mirage Arcane to make the 2 rooms one and recreate it so that it's got similar security to the last one. It's air conditioned. It has no access points in or out. Yeah, so similar to the last one. I take
So you
out the scent of lavender as well and replace it with vanilla.
So you do this and immediately almost there's a knock on the door.
Shit. And then I immediately return it to how it was. And
So
then,
a number of people come in on a wheeled table that they are pulling behind them. There is an entire roast suckling pig. A selection of several baked fruits surround it. There's a soup made of lentils and probably what is some sort of beef stock. And then just like heads of lettuce and fresh vegetables follow on a table behind it, along with bread and cheese. And then they start wheeling in like more lavender plants.
T-hole just like surreptitiously just like not like eyes it as it comes in. You know, not looking terribly amused. I suppose this will have to do.
So they wheel it into, there's a separate dining room in T-hole suite. And begin setting up the table. One place setting, of course.
You can set up plates for the others.
So they look a little confused at that, but they begin to set up other place settings.
It is appreciated.
Then one of them, who appears to be like the head servant, says, and how long will you be staying with us, sir?
Afraid we must be out in the morning. So it'll just be tonight.
Very well. So we will just need you to pay for tonight then.
Correct.
My apologies, I was unclear. We will need you to pay for tonight now.
Right. And he pulls out 100 gold and hands it to him.
There's anything you need, he leads you out into the main room and shows you there is just a cord hanging from the ceiling, like a thick velvet rope. You may pull this and a servant will come to see to your needs at any time, night or day.
Very nice. I will be sure to make great use of it.
Of course. And he and all of his people leave. They back out of the room.
The minute that they're gone, I immediately change the room back to be the fortress that it's meant to be.
Zarius was just about to pull that rope.
Could you at least lead the lavender?
It's overwhelming. Oh my God.
It's like home.
All right, well, that food does look delicious.
Let's eat, and we can all pile on the bed or share cots or take our own cots.
Well, I assume, so all of the furniture can be changed by
Oh, yeah.
code, so I assume
Oh,
he
yeah.
would make multiple beds.
Oh yeah, multiple beds, the finding ways of improving the tub and other accommodations, making sure it's nicely air conditioned with the block of ice and the various pipes beneath the floor and in the walls and the ceiling.
That's where we can wrap it up this time.